welcome to Relocate Guru. Today we're going to have an interview with the amazing Naomi Hattaway from I Am a Triangle community, who's been on like an epic journey and so much wisdom and things to share with us today. And so we want to talk about how to build a community when you are traveling to a new place, and that support system that is really vital when you are somewhere that is unfamiliar and is important wherever you go. So Naomi, would you like to give us a intro into your story and sort of like what led you to starting I Am a Triangle?
Sure, I'll give you the short version because there's definitely a long version. The short version is that I really have been on a search for community and belonging my entire life, but I didn't realize it until recently. I grew up in the United States in the middle of Nebraska, which is a very rural community. And after I met my husband and we got married and started our family, we decided to move abroad to India. So we lived in New Delhi, India for 3 years, and then in Singapore for 1. And when we moved back to the United States, I really realized that it was hard. Repatriation was a thing that I didn't prepare for. I had done all of the legwork to prepare for moving to India, but none of the research went into coming back home. And so my mom shared a concept that she had learned at MTI, which is a missionary debrief retreat. And it really resonated. It really started to make sense around what it's like to be one person in your passport country, become a new person based on the culture of the new location, and then what that means when you come home. So I wrote a blog post. It went a little viral, and because of all of the people that raised their hand after reading my blog post and said, "Me too," I started a Facebook group. Grew that over 3.5 years. It got to over 16,000 members, which was crazy. And then this summer we moved onto a new platform off of Facebook. And so the journey continues.
It's been so amazing to see sort of like how it's evolved, just like in the last year since getting to know you, and sort of like all the complications that have come up just with dealing with people generally and in this online space as well, and trying to keep everyone kind of together and focused on like the reason why it's there in the first place.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's been interesting, like you said, that the evolution of it and the evolution of creating a culture of kindness and creating a culture of listening and valuing each other's stories, that has been something that's been really fascinating to learn about humans, and also, to be honest, to also learn about social media and platforms and our phones and how all of that plays into belonging. And so it's been fascinating.
Yeah, I find the conversations about how to, and I think that's why our paths crossed, is because our missions are very, very similar and have come from a similar need to wanting to feel like you belong within your community, and that sense of feeling lost and isolated, that you don't quite fit in somewhere.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why it really resonated with me. Also, just a heads up, if anybody has any questions, please just pop them in the comments, or if you're watching the replay, just keep asking away and we'll get back to you, and we'll put all the links in the comments as well. So yeah, and it's that watching how you build that community and stuff like, and just listening to the stories that are coming up through the posts. There's so many like common threads that, even though the last research I did was like 244 million people have moved to a new country like every year, and that number's growing, we still kind of feel alone and isolated. And it's like, how do we feel a part of the community again?
Yeah, well, and part of my bigger mission too is that because that huge number of people are moving, we need to do a better job, all of us, whether it's industry, whether it's the companies that are moving people, about creating a space where the families can thrive and settle quicker, so that the assignments last longer, so that marriages don't fall apart. I mean, there's so many things that go into what happens when you don't have that sense of belonging. And I think too that the definition of belonging, I think Dr. Brene Brown is the one that kind of picked this apart, but fitting in is when you change who you are so that others ask you to join them. And belonging is people asking you to join them and you being just the way you are. I thought that's just such a cool way to look at it too. Yeah. I know. I want to be her best friend.
Yeah, me too.
We can both be her best friends. We should start working on that.
Yeah, we should really start working on, sort of like, I could definitely see us going out for coffee or cocktails or something. Yeah.
Put it on our vision boards.
Yeah.
Besties with Dr. Brene.
Yes. Or an Oprah, like.
Sure. Well, why not? So I have to just say for people that are watching this, we have a little bit of things going on in the house. So there's background noise, and then we have someone coming to do the appraisal on the house because we're moving. So don't mind background noises.
And so what were the like big surprises that like with your first like moves, what were the big challenges that you encountered that you kind of wish somebody gave you a heads up about?
You know, it's really interesting because when we moved to India, I found a blogger. Her name was Ellen Weirin, and she was the only person online that I could find that had answers to what is it like to live in New Delhi. And I stalked her and I read every single thing she wrote. We became friends and she really became my guru. She became my Relocate Guru. She was on the ground. She was there. When we landed, we met. She had me over for tea. So I didn't have a struggle going to India because I had done that work of finding someone. So I think, though, you can flip that into what would be my suggestion for people as they're moving. It's a different world with the internet now than it was when we first moved, but definitely seek out someone who's living there at the new location, because that can change everything. Just to be able to get questions and answers, first of all, know where the best spots are, and then to have that smiling, friendly face when you land in a place that's probably very foreign, literally, can be all of the difference in the world. My biggest struggle was probably the move back to the United States. And the struggles were things like not knowing who I was, because I had changed so drastically in so many different ways from living abroad, and then to be back in the United States. I didn't look different. I spoke the language, and so no one could see that I had struggles. I think when you live in a place where you speak differently or look differently, people are more willing to approach you and ask if you need help or assistance or befriend you. But when you look the same as everybody else, or when you don't, when you can speak the language, all of those things, I think the offers to help become few and far between.
They do, and yeah, that's something I definitely experienced on the move that inspired Relocate Guru, was the move from Aberdeen to Edinburgh. It's like literally 2.5, 3 hours away. But you don't know which neighborhoods are good. You don't know what the school system's like. There's like a million and one things. But because you're like, oh, well, you're coming from one Scottish city to another, that you'll be fine. And it was a Spanish company that my husband worked for that moved us. So yeah, there just wasn't the support there. It's like, yeah, you just get on with it.
Yeah, and that can be hard, and that can add to the feelings of isolation and loneliness, and definitely not encourage belonging if you're constantly trying to figure out your footing. Yeah.
And that's kind of the aim with Relocate Guru, is that you have those local gurus kind of all in one place, sharing that local knowledge, so everybody becomes the guru. Like nobody's like the one leader.
Right.
It's everybody who's imparting their knowledge in a service of wanting to help.
Yeah.
They belong.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, this is a great coffee shop, or this is what you need to know.
Yeah.
It kind of empowers everyone to create that community and make those links before they've even arrived.
Right.
So you'll be able to get that friendly, smiling face and have those conversations before you've even left home.
Yeah.
And be that kind of platform to put everything in organized in one place.
Yeah.
And to find the resources like the I Am a Triangle tribe and the expat groups, or like the mums groups, or like the exercise group that you love, or whatever it is, and combine it. So I think, yeah, that's something that would probably hopefully fill that gap that seems to trip people up. So what has been like the common mistakes of like that you're just about to embark on like your next move, but what is the things that you're like, okay, what am I going to avoid doing from what have I learned to make this easier this time around?
So I have two major ones. From a practical standpoint, I think one of the things that I see people do all of the time, and this is from my knowledge as a real estate agent and as a professional serial mover at this point, it's not preparing your belongings so that you have an easy time of just even the simple thing of unpacking. I just was going through some of the stickers that our moving company gave us. And this is one of the most important tips I think I can give when you're physically doing the moving, is to make sure that you know where your things are that you need first at the new house. It's so frustrating to try and dig through boxes to find things, especially if you have little ones that are waiting for that special lovey or the stuffy or the whatever. So I actually created, and I'll send you a link of how to get this for anyone watching, but I have a really great checklist on what to pack for the first night in your new home. Instead of being so worried about the packing to leave the home, flip it so that you're instead worrying about what you have readily accessible in the new house. So this load last sticker really comes in handy because you can make sure that it's last on the truck or last on the cargo, which means it's first off. So that's one mistake, is that people don't prepare adequately. The other thing I think that's a huge mistake, and it's super common and it's super easy to miss, is to not leave well. So not being very intentional about the place that you're leaving. We create rituals. We go to all of our favorite places. We make sure that we have photos taken. We kind of have a last supper at our favorite restaurants, linger at our library, longer than normal to say goodbye. And it might sound silly, but when you leave well, you protect your memories. It helps with any bitterness that you might be having about the move. And it also prepares you to land well. So that's two of my tips.
I think that's a fantastic thing. That I think as people, like, we need that kind of closure to then be ready to accept like the new exciting things that are going to happen next. Yeah. So that's really beautiful. So what's one thing that you're looking forward to doing in this phase of going for like your last special?
Our last things. So we actually only have about 2 weeks left, and so we've done most of the ritual of our places, but this next week is very intentional work on our friends, to really make sure that we're spending time with our friends, making sure that our children have time scheduled with their friends to say goodbye. So that's this last week for us, which is exciting. It's fun, and that's the other thing too. When you leave well with your friends, it protects that relationship. So because it's hard to be the stayer, there's the whole leaver versus stayers. And Jerry Jones is a fantastic writer who talks at The Culture Blend is his blog. And he talks about leaving well and the stayers versus the leavers. So I think it's also important to take responsibility for those that you're leaving behind, and help to create some ceremony and some time. So.
No, I definitely agree with that. And up here in Aberdeen, it's sort of like a very expat transient community. Mm-hmm. So it can kind of feel a bit sucky when like your friends are going to exotic places like Dubai or Kuala Lumpur, and you're stuck in Scotland in winter in the cold. Very envious.
Yeah.
Even though they're obviously sort of like dealing with all the challenges, but you've kind of been left in literally the cold and the dark.
Yeah.
And there's kind of that gap where you need to kind of fill in with new friends and make new relationships as well. So that can be rough on both sides.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what have you sort of like found any things that you kind of particularly miss from like different places that you kind of wish that you could just bottle and bring with you, or do you just say no, that's was great at that time and just leave it there? Or do you ask if anyone's coming through, can you bring me a suitcase of such?
Yeah. So that's a hard question to answer because we've loved so many things about each place. I can't say I have like a favorite place, but the favorite things from each place. I loved the color and the visual and the audio of India. It was amazing and just so wonderful. I miss our friends from every place dearly. If I could gather them all up, scoop them up, and all live on an island together from each place that we've lived, I would be a very happy girl. We miss the olive fried rice from Singapore. I miss the lack of seasons in Florida. I mean, I could say something about every single place that we've lived that I've really missed now. But I think it's I don't know. It's hard because missing it almost means that it's gone forever. And I think we do photo books. Oh my gosh, we look through our photo books all of the time that give us a glimpse back into the things that we've missed. The appraiser's here. Let me open the door.
No problem. Yeah, the job of moving home, just having to juggle everything. So if you're watching, please let me know that you're here in the comment and that it's all working fine. Just give a thumbs out. That would be lovely.
Back.
Be back. Yeah, sort of. What's it like being on like the other side of the fence from being a real estate agent?
It's kind of funny. I joke that I think every real estate agent should have to move at least once every 6 to 7 years to keep the empathy muscles intact and in terms of helping clients through what can be a really stressful time. My agent here jokes that I'm one of her easiest clients because I know the drill. I'm not licensed here in our current state, so we had to use an agent. She's been great. But I think from the other side of it, it really helps actually in my business to remember and keep fresh what it feels like to be the client through the process. So it can be stressful for sure. Moving is not fun.
So I find moving quite therapeutic sometimes because I do the biggest clear outs. It's sort of like it definitely gets rid of any hoarding tendencies.
Yes. Oh my gosh. The great purge happens every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been about 2 years in this current house and I'm like, I'm ready for another one. It's like, we need to clear out. And instead of just having to clear out, it's like, no, let's move. Because I know that will fix it.
Of course, until you're two years into the new place.
Yeah, it's like then we need to do it again.
Itchy feet syndrome.
Definitely. It's got off track. But yeah, so what have been like the big resources that you found particularly helpful, like with like just navigating everything with the moves? Are there any particular like books or websites that you go like if a friend said, "Oh, I'm moving," it's like, what are the things that you would say, "Oh, you must read this," or "You must do"?
Yeah, I think there's a really great, for anyone that's got children, there's a really great workbook called My Very Exciting, Sorta Scary Big Move. And it is by Dr. Lori Woodring. I've already packed mine away, otherwise I would show you. But she goes through a really great set of journey process with kids so that they can start to work through it. It's really fantastic. So that's one resource. On our I'm a Triangle website, we have really great journal pages. They're called 5 minute or 5 or 10 minute, I can't remember now, but we have them for kids, for teens, and adults. And it's to unpack your move. And it goes through some of the real stuff that happens when you move. And so those are fantastic resources. And I'll send you links for everything. The other thing I really love is Sarah White's New Adventure coaching cards. We've been using these with our kids. And we're going to have Sarah on the I'm a Triangle broadcast soon. but there are these really great coaching cards. They go through the leaving stage, transition stage, entering stage, and re-involvement stage. So that's been a huge resource for us that I can definitely recommend. And then the book that I love the most right now is This Is Where You Belong. And it's by Melody Warnick. I'm a super fan of Melody's. She talks a lot about place attachment in this book and how our need for connection and belonging is right alongside our place attachment, our ability to attach to a place. So those are probably my favoritist resources.
With the cards, what do? You just like pick a card and just talk about that topic?
Yeah, so for example, the leaving stage, which is what we're in, one of the suggestions to talk about is what is one possible action you could take to make leaving feel easier for you? Another one is how you say thank you to the key people who helped you most here. So the way we use them is when my daughter gets home from school, she picks a card. And she is committed to talking about it, and it's really been helpful. And then we a lot of times end up taking that conversation through to dinner time with our middle son as well. So they're super helpful. She's worked hard on making these something that people want to engage with. That's good.
So can people buy that through the I'm a Triangle website? Or
we don't have the link up, but I'll share her website with you.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah.
We need all these.
I know. They're fast.
I'm kind of one of those who sort of like when I find something useful, I'd like to like a magpie.
That's the thing that is so beautiful about I Am a Triangle is that it is difficult sometimes to find all of the things that you need. And so we're really working hard on gathering those resources and having them in one place so that, from a global perspective, people are able to pop in to the hub and be able to get the resources they need.
So if we can go back to like talking a bit more about the I'm a Triangle and sort of like how it's evolved over this last year and just like a candid view of like what those challenges have been and sort of like what would you tell yourself if you like a year ago, what would you say?
Oh goodness. I think that a year ago I would have told myself that the community can rally and serve as a buffer and cheerleaders. I think during the transition of moving from Facebook to a different platform, I felt like I had to really defend the rationale behind it and the what's the word I want? The authenticity of what I'm a Triangle was. I felt like that was on me to defend, and it wasn't. It was a community responsibility, and I think I would have, if I could go back, I would really be able to understand and sit with the fact that the community really has my back, which is a beautiful thing. I think another thing that I would have wished I would have known is the power of communication, and you can never communicate change too much to people, and that includes with family members and a move. Communication is key, and you can't, I don't believe, over communicate. So that would have been something I would have done differently. But otherwise, it's a journey, and it's been something that I don't know what it looks like tomorrow. I wake up and I decide, where the ship is going to be steered, and it's all about trying to give the most value to our members. And I just want it to be continue to be a safe place, a safe spot that people can come in, get rejuvenated, get answers to questions, and then go out and live their beautiful, wonderful life.
No, it's been an absolute beautiful to watch, sort of like, and it really inspires me when, if there's any hint of a negativity, sort of like how everyone rallies and has your back and going like.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the negativity, yeah. And the negativity piece of it, what's interesting is that I watch other communities, mostly are using Facebook groups as their platform, and other communities just don't seem to understand how to do it, but ours sure does. And I think what's special about our community is that people reach out to each other individually to say, are you okay? Instead of lashing out in the public space, they reach out privately to say, is something going on? You seem like you're not doing okay today. And typically, they find that there is something that they need support, which then brings everybody right back to that kindness and generosity and listening.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely something I want to take forward, is sort of like sticking to that core value and that core mission, that people can have that anchor of going like, this is what it's about. Yes. So when things kind of get thrown out from left fields, you know where
absolutely to bring back,
right, when it comes to bringing back to you. Because yeah, people are human and have a rough day, and or misinterpret, like things get misinterpreted online because it's like, and culturally as well.
Absolutely.
Like a phrase in one country can mean something completely different in another.
Totally.
And can cause all sorts of the fun challenges so, global. Yeah, so just thinking sort of like, are there any, like, I know when we can chat forever and a day, and I'm really looking forward to coming back to the Families in Global Transition conference next year.
That would be wonderful.
And, yeah, I want to try and stay for the whole thing this time. Although I might leave with like no voice at all.
We probably should start prepping now for self-care and being ready for all of the goodness.
It'd be exciting. So are there any kind of pearls of wisdom that you've kind of picked up along the way, or that you'd like to share for anybody that's whether they're thinking of starting up a business or like just moving generally, they can take away with them?
Yeah, I think there's two things, especially for those that are on the, wanting to start a business or taking a business from one location to another, because that can be extremely hard and scary, is to really intentionally build up a personal board of directors or a personal advisory board. People that will have your back, people that you can lean on during the hard times, including people that will kind of pull you up by your bootstraps and say, okay, you've got this. Why are you lingering in the doubt and dismay? Like, you need to get out there and really do it. So I think that's one very important thing. And every one of us needs a group of people that we know has our back. And then the other piece of it, and this is sometimes hard for people that identify as introverts, but you have to actually be out there to create a community. You can't, you can do it a little bit online from behind a screen, but you need to show up in person. And whether that's like this, where you're doing, a face-to-face virtual thing, that counts, or whether you're actually opening your door and going out into the neighborhood. I think the other pearl of wisdom that really has stuck with me is the best way to create community is to volunteer. If you give of your time to somebody else or to something, your community will find you.
I think they're all amazing, wonderful points. So just to wrap up, sort of like, where can people find out more? And sort of like, we'll put the links below, obviously. But yeah, so it's the iamatriangle.com, is it? Or
yeah, iamatriangle.com is the main resource site. And then in that resource site, you can click over to join our community, which is where you'll get access to our private little space that we have for everybody, for our members. And then I am also at NaomiHattaway.com, in the middle of a website rebrand, which is fun. But yeah, those are the two best places, iamatriangle.com and then NaomiHattaway.com.
I think we could, have another whole show on like the joys of the tech and dealing with, trying to build websites.
Oh my gosh. All of it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Dorothy's comment. Thanks for listening, Dorothy.
Oh, thank you so much, Dorothy. And thanks so much, Lizette, for commenting and being here. And yeah, if anyone's still got any questions, please keep them if you're watching the replay, because we will answer anything that we can help with. And so much knowledge here, so we can definitely help you out with anything you've got.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so thank you so much for all your inspiring insights and sharing. So if you found this conversation useful, please share it with your friends, and If you're interested in going to find out more about the I Am a Triangle, go to the website. And if you're interested in about joining Relocate Guru, the app is about to launch very soon. And so you can go to relocateguru.io to be one of the founding members. And I'll be very excited to see you there. But thank you so much, Naomi, and good luck with your move and everything.
Thank you.
I'll catch you up soon. So have a wonderful day, everyone, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
To get started, download the app today and join our community to feel at home anywhere.